Hey, this is Elijah with the Oxygen team, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at how to create this header menu with a centered logo. This is something that has been talked about as long as I can remember, as long as I've been at Oxygen. It's a common pattern that can be somewhat difficult to wrap your head around when you're dealing with an individual menu element and you want to kind of inject something in the middle there. But I found a really simple and accessible and responsive technique here that I'm going to show you today. And let's go ahead and look at the responsive aspect of this. As we scale down, we're going to see that this menu header just converts to a header with a logo on the left and the mobile menu on the right. So let's go ahead and jump into Oxygen and get started with building this. The first thing we need is a section. We're going to use a section as the header. So we're going to change the tag to header. And we want to center everything vertically and horizontally. So let's choose horizontal and choose middle and center, and then go back to vertical. That's a little trick in Oxygen to get around a UI quirk, but that'll make sure everything's centered both horizontally and vertically for us. Now we want to reduce the padding of this section a little bit. So we'll go to advanced size and spacing and drop that padding down to 32 pixels. And we'll just do 32 on the left and right for consistency. Now we need our menu element. So we're going to use the site navigation element here and drop that in. Now our logo is orange, so we're going to adjust our colors here to maybe something kind of orangey, but we can't go too light because we need good contrast. So something like that. Let's see, our hover color is a little bit blue, so we'll go up here to something warmer. That looks better. And then because we don't have drop downs, the background color doesn't need to be adjusted. But if you did have drop downs, you would want to go ahead and adjust that. Now let's go ahead and drop in a link wrapper. This is going to contain our logo, and we'll do an image element inside of that. And I've already uploaded a cool logo here, so I'll drop that in. Now I want this to take up a very specific amount of space, so I'm going to set the link wrapper itself to a width of 128 pixels. And then let's add a little bit of padding here, maybe 16 pixels of padding all the way around. And then we can set the image to 100% width. And that gives us the exact size of image we want and what will accommodate in our menu. Now we're going to do something a little bit weird. We're going to, first we need to move this link wrapper up above the site navigation, which looks pretty good on its own. If you don't want to go to all this trouble of syncing it down into the navigation, this looks fine. But today we're going to embed this in the navigation. So we need this link wrapper to be advanced, layout, position, absolute. And that'll put it right there in the middle where we want it. Let's also raise the z-index a bit so it sits on top of our menu items. Now we need to make sure that there's space in our menu for this element. So let's save this and select our site navigation element and grab its ID. We're gonna have to write a little bitty bit of CSS here. So let's add a style sheet. We'll call it logo nav and drop that in. Now we only want this to take effect above the point at which our menu switches to its mobile layout. So we'll probably set this in a media query of min width 767 pixels. So everywhere above that, this will take effect. Now what we need to do is select the ID of that menu element, which I previously copied. I'm going to paste that in. Then we're looking for direct children that are ULs and then direct children of that are LIs. So to test our selector, we can do something like background black and see if it works. That's usually what I do to make sure my selector's correct before I start typing a bunch of stuff. So now that we know that is the selector we want, we can go ahead and do our actual CSS declaration here, which is going to be margin right 128 pixels. Now that of course breaks everything. Everything has kind of moved away from each other, which is not what we want. So we need to scope this selector a bit more narrowly, and we want it to affect the fourth LI. So we can do that with nth child, not nth child actually, because there are some children that are actually hidden in the structure of the site navigation element. So the number would be kind of unexpected. So we'll do nth of type instead. And then because there is one hidden LI before our visible menu elements, we need to do 4. And you can see now that everything kind of comes together. So let's collapse that editor. And now we have this nice centered layout. Let's go ahead and unzoom and save. Now we can go up to the front end and take a look at what we've got so far. Now we still have the mobile stuff to set up, but this looks pretty good. We can click that, we can click that, we can click our logo in the middle, And make sure you select this link wrapper and set a URL of like / if you want it to go home. And you might be thinking, we already have a home link, so why does this need to be linked? Well, it depends on your users. There's a group called the Admin Bar, and Kyle over there did a study and found that a lot of people click the home link and a lot of people click the home logo. So it's kind of nice to have both to accommodate both types of users. Okay, so what do we do about mobile? Well, first we need to set our site navigation mobile settings. We want to switch to the mobile menu at less than 768 pixels. So that will get us our mobile layout. Let's go ahead and drop down to see that. And that looks kind of cool, but it kind of obscures the site navigation elements. We need to make some adjustments here. The first thing is this link wrapper needs to no longer be position absolute. So we'll go to advanced layout and do position static. That gets it back in the flow of this section. Now the section itself needs to have a horizontal layout, and then all we need to do is choose space between. And just like that, we have a header navigation menu with a centered logo that is perfectly responsive. And because we put the logo above the menu in the DOM, even though it's visibly kind of entrenched in the middle of the menu, it's the first tab focusable element, so we haven't interrupted kind of the expectations of a keyboard user here either. So again, this is Elijah from the Oxygen team, and that's how to build a header navigation with a centered logo. Thank you for watching.